It is 9:01, so we do have our second speaker in the second session, Jana Barnhill. Fellow Toastmasters, our next presenter is joining us from Lubbock, Texas. She has been a member of our great organization for a few years now and has observed clubs all over the world. As she served as our 2008-2009 international president, what makes a strong club? How do you create the type of experience that will cause any guest to want to be a part of what you have? To answer those questions, along with many others, please help me welcome past international president, accredited speaker Jana Barnhill to present what want I want that. Jana, floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Umanga. Good morning, District 100. I was about to interrupt Greg and say, dude, you're giving my speech. But what a perfect segue into my portion. And Greg, it is just so great to see you, as it is great to see all of you. What a treat to spend this time with you this morning. And Umanga, I commend you and Charla for continuing to organize these learning labs and giving your members an opportunity to continue to learn and grow through their Toastmasters journey, in addition to what they are receiving in their clubs. So kudos to you for doing that. Thank you so much. And to all of you who are here, it's great to see you. I know most of you are in Southern California. I, as has been mentioned, am in Lubbock, Texas. Now, my part of Texas and Pamela's part of Texas are very different. We have already had many nights below freezing. We've already had a day of snow. And so I thought, why don't we just have a casual fireside conversation this Sunday morning? Make it easy and relaxed. And, speaking of the fire, I don't know about you. I cannot believe that it is December. Am I the only one? I cannot believe it is December. I woke up with a head cold. It's cold outside. And that also means we are in the throes of holiday chaos and everything that comes with that. And it's even worse for me this year because about 10 days ago, I moved into a house and immediately began a huge renovation project. So almost every room in my house looks like a bomb exploded in it. And that is killing me because, and Pam knows this, I'm that person who by Thanksgiving, every room in my house looks like a Christmas store. And I can't do that this year. I can't decorate anything. Well, okay, my bedroom is one of the few rooms in the house that I'm not touching. So I do have a tree in my bedroom. So that's my holiday sanctuary this year. I can at least go in there and feel festive. So I can't decorate this year, but you know what I can still do? I can still shop. So at the end of the day, when I have finished my work, I go into my holiday sanctuary and I sit there and I pull up my buddy Amazon and I scroll and I see something and I say, ooh, I want that. And then I keep scrolling. Oh, I want that. And I keep going, oh, I want that. And yes, I know I'm supposed to be shopping for other people, but I want that. Whether I can shop or not, whether I can decorate or not, the holidays are coming either way, right? And you know what else is coming? Right around the corner, December 31st. Now, I really can't believe that because you know what that means? That means that our Toastmasters year is halfway over. I cannot wrap my head around that. I don't know what happened in the first part of the year. But with us being at the halfway point of our Toastmasters year, we need to be asking ourselves some serious questions. You know, at the beginning of the Toastmasters year, your club, under the guidance and direction of your president and your executive committee, would have set a goal for where you want your club to finish the year in the Distinguished Club program. What was your goal? Is it to be distinguished? Is it to be President's Distinguished? Well, whatever level your club is aiming for, there is one component that is in all of them, right? Membership. How many of you are in a club that has already recruited all of the members you want? Oh, I don't see any hands going up. No? All right. Well, wouldn't it be amazing if every guest, every shopper who visited your club was struck with the impression, oh, I want that. Well, how do we make that happen? And listen, we are going to be asking a lot of questions today, and I also have a disclaimer. Most likely, I am not going to tell you anything new today. I hope that everything I have to share with you, you learned at club officer training, you've learned throughout these learning labs, you've learned from your area directors. But I love to think about something that my husband used to always say, and Greg, you were so sweet to mention him. My husband was a tax attorney and a CPA, and among other things, he wrote and conducted continuing education courses all over the country for tax attorneys, CPAs, financial professionals. And the thing about our tax code is some years it changes significantly. Other years, not so much. But in those years, even when there aren't many changes, those professionals still have to have their continuing education hours. So on those classes, Bob would always say, you know, there aren't a lot of changes this year, but it is always good to hear a refresher. And it's always great to be confirmed that you're doing it right. So I hope what I'm providing today is a refresher and a confirmation that what you're doing is right so that you will continue. And if I provide you something new, wonderful. So our session today is going to be interactive. So I would love for those of you who have turned your cameras off to turn them back on so I can see your beautiful and handsome faces, and turn your microphones on so I can hear your fabulous voices. So here's our first question. What's our purpose? Every club in this organization has the same purpose. And every club at every meeting should be saying our purpose. So someone, generally speaking, I'm not looking for specifics yet, but generally speaking, someone say in two words, what's our purpose of our clubs? What's our purpose?
Build communicators.
Build communicators, okay?
Support leaders.
Form leaders, okay? Anyone else? You're
Safe
hitting.
space.
I'm sorry?
Safe space. You said 2 words.
Safe space. All right. You're all right on it. The 2 words that I want us to focus on is club mission or club mission. Is every one of your clubs starting your meeting by reciting the club mission? If you are, great. Please keep doing that. If not, I have to ask, why not? Shouldn't our purpose be at the forefront of every meeting? And have you ever really, I mean really, thought about the words and the power behind the words? That's what we're going to look at today. So someone, please tell us the first 6, just 6, the first 6 words of our club mission.
We provide a supportive and positive learning experience.
6. So we provide a supportive and positive. For those of you who had the pleasure of being in the previous session, Greg, this is when you started into what I was talking about today. How many of you noticed all of the hearts flying, all of the thumbs being raised when Greg started talking about the importance of recognition and of being supportive and positive? Wouldn't it be amazing? Just think about that first-time guest. You know, not every guest who comes into our door is there because they want to be. Sometimes we have guests come because their boss suggested it. So they're already reluctant. They're already skeptical. What a difference would it make if some of the first words they heard were, hey, this is a supportive and positive place? Might they not soften up a little bit and think, oh, okay, I want that. So let's look further. In addition to that supportive and positive space, let's go back to the mission. And in one word, what type of experience do we provide? One word.
A learning.
Learning. We provide a supportive and positive learning experience. And Greg hit the nail on the head. Hate to burst your bubble, but we are not a social club. Although I will say, in this month's edition of the magazine, there is an adorable couple of 2 past international presidents. Okay, it's hard for me to say that with a straight face because the picture is of past international president. Greg's seen it. He's laughing. Pat Johnson and yours truly. And unbeknownst to us, a photograph was taken of us at the convention in Santa Ana. And we are embraced in a beautiful friendship hug. And I think when you look at that picture, you can really see how genuinely we love each other. And the caption accompanies an article that is all about the social and relationship aspect of Toastmasters. And that is absolutely right. Some of my dearest friends in the world I met at Toastmasters. We've traveled the world together. We have spent holidays together. We have celebrated birthdays and many other occasions together. But all of that is a serendipitous byproduct of our purpose. Our purpose being we are an educational organization. That boss that sends that employee to your club, he didn't do it because he was concerned about their social calendar. He's sending them because he wants them to learn something. That's what he wants. Then we have other guests who they know that they need something. Maybe they have found themselves on a committee or in an office in an organization that they belong to, or their church or work. Maybe they are now in a position where they will be making presentations or conducting meetings, and they know nothing about how to do that. So they come to you to learn that. That's what they want. So we want, going back to the mission, we want every guest who comes into that door or in that virtual space to see. We provide a positive and supportive, I want that, learning experience. I want that. Then, what will that supportive and positive learning experience empower our members to do? What's next?
Develop communication leadership skills.
Resulting in?
Greater self-confidence and personal growth.
Oh, I want that. I absolutely want that. So do you see how just beginning your meetings with reciting the club mission can have such a huge impact on our guests? You're showing them right off the bat that you have something they want. And please know that our club mission is not just a jumble of words to monotonously recite quickly so that we can get on with the rest of the meeting. Our club mission is a formula for transforming lives. So how does that happen? Then you have to show them. You have to follow the reading with showing them how that actually happens. And by the way, let me interject here. We don't only want to attract new members, we want to keep the members we have, right? Not only do we want our guests thinking, I want that, we want all of our members thinking, I can't imagine not having this. So living out and fulfilling that club mission keeps our members with us as well. So how do we, as members, as officers, how do we play our part in fulfilling that club mission? So let's talk about the officers now, and we'll start with sergeants at arms. Anybody here who's a sergeant at arms? Anybody? Okay, great. Are your sergeants at arms arriving early enough at the meeting? If you meet in person or if you meet hybrid, are they arriving early enough so that room is perfectly set? Pam and I were talking the other day about, she knows I love Disney, and all things Disney and the movies. And one of my favorite movies is Beauty and the Beast. And those of you who have seen that, do you remember that scene where Belle comes into the dining room and all of the dishes put on that beautiful performance for her, showing her how important she is by being their guest, and all of the things they do to make everything just perfect for their guests. We need to be doing that in Toastmasters. And that takes some time and it takes some effort. But when that guest walks in our door, everything needs to be ready to go. And our sergeants at arms needs to be standing at that door to greet not only our guests, but our members as well. Like we said last time, everyone likes recognition, even if it's just greeting you when you walk in the door. And that is so important. And if you are, how many of you are meet through a hybrid club? How many of you have hybrid clubs? I tell you, I am a member of a hybrid club, and bless the sergeant at arms who sets all of that up. When you meet in a hybrid format, it adds a completely different component to getting everything ready to go. And I am in awe of our technical people who get everything set up, and they do not receive the recognition they deserve in making sure that that virtual experience and the experience for those sitting there in person come together so that you all feel like you're in the same room. So kudos to any of you who might be a part of that. You know, I visited an online club not long ago. And this is a club that I know. So I know who all of the members are. And I was sitting there in the virtual space, watching the room. And unfortunately, not everything was set. So people were busy scurrying around, doing other things. And I looked as a guest walked into the door, through the door. And he just stood there, and no one was there to greet him. No one noticed him. And I was just getting more and more uncomfortable as I watched that, because you could see that he didn't know what was going on and really what to do. Finally, one person noticed he was there, went over to say hello to him, but that was about it. And they went back to what they were doing. And he was just kind of left there. And I couldn't help but think to myself, I doubt seriously that he is standing there thinking, well, I want this. He probably wasn't. So it is so important that we greet our guests and our members and make everyone feel that they are in that supportive and positive space. Now, Vice President's membership, any of you here today? Awesome. That's great. Katie and Greg, you know, it's very important that you meet those guests as well. And if you don't have time to do it before the meeting, you make sure that those guests do not get out that door without you getting to them and not just saying, hey, glad you were here. Have a conversation with them. Does your club have guest packets? If it does, make sure it's provided for them. Get their contact information, and I don't mean just their email address. Get their name, their phone number, their physical address. And then most importantly, please please, please follow up. And please do more than just shoot them an email. Oh, we were so glad you came. Send them a card. Do any of your clubs keep a supply of the Toastmaster cards? I love those cards. I use them all the time. Send them a professional handwritten Toastmasters card that says, we are so happy that you visited us Saturday. We know we have something that can change your life. We welcome you back and we want you to join at our next meeting. And that's one thing that just, it blows me away. I have seen time after time after time, a club have a guest and nobody says, we would love for you to join. Really? Don't miss that opportunity. And sending them a card, again, who doesn't like a personalized card in the mail? Oh, look, Greg's got the card right there. Doesn't that make you feel special? And that recognition. And Vice President's membership, don't only send those cards to your guests, send them to your members who miss a meeting. Send them a card that says, Marty, we missed you at our last meeting. It's not the same without your great smile and energy and the insight you provide us. Hope all is well. See you next week. How many of you have ever missed a meeting and actually wondered to yourself, wonder if they even missed me? Did they even notice I wasn't there? Who wouldn't like a handwritten note saying, we missed you? I want that. I want that. So please follow up. And another point on follow-ups, and this relates to following up on people through website requests. It never ceases to astonish me when I hear the report of the number of individuals who go to our Toastmasters website and click on that Find a Club link, and they go in and request information about a club, and it is never answered. We have someone knocking on our door and we don't answer it. I don't understand that. And so, Vice President Public Relations, any of you here today? In your clubs, please make sure that your Vice President of Public Relations has made certain that all of your information, your website, your social media information, however you are advertising your club, that it has all of the correct information, that it is current. I was traveling one time, and I arrived at a city one evening, and this was within my district boundaries. So I knew this town had a Toastmasters club, and I knew it met the next day. So I looked it up to get the address and make sure I had the correct meeting time. Now, you need to understand something. For one, it was winter. There was snow on the ground. It was cold. And two, this club met at 6:30 in the morning. I don't want that. But I got up, I got dressed, I trudged through the snow, I sloshed my way to the meeting, I pulled up. Nobody there. Nobody there. And then I found out that that club didn't even meet anymore. That was definitely not what I wanted. It was not a positive experience. It was not a supportive experience. Just think if that had happened and how many times it may have happened to a true non-Toastmaster guest. You think they'd ever come back? You think they'd ever try again? Chances are they'd say, well, I don't want that, and go on to something else. So it is so important that we keep all of our information up to date. We don't want to frustrate or even make it impossible for our guests to come and to join us. Now, Vice President's Education, any of you here today? Of course, Greg. You are the workhorses of the club, aren't you? Part of it anyway. All of our learning experience falls to you. You are responsible to see that all of our members are going through our educational program. Remember, we said this is an educational organization. So, Vice President's Education, is every member of your club enrolled and engaged in Pathways? You know, we would not enroll in a college for continuing education and say, okay, I'm here, but I'm not going to use your book. I'm not going to follow that course. We wouldn't do that. Well, Toastmasters is an educational organization for continuing education, and Pathways is our curriculum. So, Vice President's Education, if you have some members who struggle with Pathways, maybe they're not comfortable maneuvering it, navigating through it on the website, maybe they need help understanding all of the different paths, how to select a project, how to select a path, make sure you're helping them with that. And then Vice President's Education need to make sure that every member is being scheduled in enough times that they will meet their personal goals. And you need to make sure that you are scheduling so that you will meet your club goals. I am a member of a club right now who, as long as I have been in Toastmasters, her name is Patty. She is the most amazing Vice President of Education I have ever seen. We have a Google Doc that is ongoing. Every member can get into it at any time and see exactly what every member is working on, where they are, what their goals are, what our club goals are, what we've met, what we still need. And that's the responsibility of the Vice President Education, and to encourage us to stay on track, both individually and as a club. But that's how we show our guests that we are providing that learning experience. Now, at the end of the day or year, club presidents, any of you here, club presidents? Great. Thank you for doing that. At the end of the year, club presidents, it all falls to you, right? Everything is on your shoulders to see that it's all coming together. At the beginning of the year, I'm sure that you met with your executive committee to complete your club success plan, to set your distinguished club program goals. And now, have you been having those monthly executive committee meetings where you're tracking your success. How are you on success to goals? What do you still need to accomplish? What do you need to change in your goals? And then in your business meetings at the club, are you keeping in front of the members? This is what we said we wanted to do. This is where we are. And listen, I speak from experience when I say those goals do not just miraculously complete themselves. You may not want to, but you have to keep those goals in front of your club. You have to keep reminding them. Another bit of absolute wisdom that I heard from my husband, and he said this the year that he was district governor. I can remember him saying to his district executive committee, and he was talking about the importance of the area directors and the division directors every time you went into your club, how important it was. And that every time the district executive committee met, how important it was to say the numbers and know where you were on those numbers. Now, goals, not numbers, goals. And he said, I know some of you feel like you're beating a dead horse, but what you need to understand is about the time you feel like you personally are sick and tired of talking about these goals, someone on your team is just getting it for the first time. They're just finally understanding how it all works together, how your personal learning is a part of the club learning. And club presidents, it's up to you to see that every piece of that club mission is working together. And you're the one who sets the tone for that supportive and positive learning example. So our club mission is not just words. It's a formula that transforms lives. Have you ever thought about the power of being supportive and positive? Let me tell you about Summer. Summer is a young lady who, bless her heart, when she was growing up, she was always in trouble, always with the wrong people, at the wrong place, at the wrong time. And at the age of 17, her parents kicked her out of the house. Somehow, when she was 21, she enrolled in Texas Tech University. And one evening, she walked through the door of Articulate Toastmasters. And she joined our club. I will never forget her icebreaker. I can still see her, and this was years ago. I can still see her standing at that lectern with tears running down her face. She's 21 years old. And she said to us in her icebreaker, until I joined Toastmasters, no one had ever made me feel like I was worth anything. That is the power of showing one that they are in a supportive and positive place. Who wouldn't say, I want that? Have you ever thought about the power of developing communication skills? Let me tell you about Jeff. One year I was speaking at a district conference, And at a particular point in my keynote, I was talking about the importance of staying in Toastmasters. You know, I see Pam and I see Greg, and I always like to point out the seasoned, you never say old, the seasoned Toastmasters who have stayed. And I always ask, share with us just one thing that a way that your life has been changed, something that has happened to you that never would have had you left Toastmasters, because we lose far too many members way too early. They meet maybe that one goal and they think they've learned everything there is to learn and they leave. So I always ask those seasoned members, tell us something that has happened in your life that would not have had you not stayed. And one year I was at a conference and I said that, and a gentleman right in the front row jumped up, turned around, and with all the enthusiasm he could muster, shouted to the audience, 9 promotions in 9 years. Well, who wouldn't want that? So as soon as my presentation was over, I jumped off the stage and I went over to meet him to learn more of his story. Come to find out, Jeff had a PhD in aeronautical engineering. And he said to me, where I work, I am surrounded by people with PhDs, many smarter than I am. But I am the one who can best communicate what I know. And he said, I learned that in Toastmasters. Who wouldn't hear that and say, I want that? Have you ever thought about the power of developing leadership skills? Let me tell you about Mark. So one year I spent the entire month of May in China, and I was visiting the districts and many of the clubs there. And also while I was there, I made 14 what we call recognition visits. There's that word again, recognition. Corporate recognition visits. And this is where an officer of Toastmasters goes into a corporation that supports Toastmasters, has a corporate club. And we go in to meet with the executives to build on that relationship, to see how things are going. And on one of the days on that trip, I was in Beijing. And I met with one of the executives from Morgan Chase. And I asked her how things were going. And I said, do you see a difference in your employees who are members of the Toastmasters Club? And she immediately said, oh, absolutely. And she started to tell me about Mark. Mark was a member of the club, and as it just so happened, that year was also the area director. And he had just completed his high performance leadership project. Hi, Karen. And if some of you are unfamiliar with what a high performance leadership project is, Umanga can help you, Karen can help you, Charlotte can help you, your area director. But he had just completed one. And this woman started to tell me about it. And then she said, no, you know what? I'm going to let him tell you. And so she picked up the phone and called him and asked him to her office. And he came in and sat down and she said, Mark, tell Jana about your high performance leadership project you just completed. Well, he just beamed. And the first thing he said to me was, I had a contest. I organized a speech contest. Now, I will be honest with you. When he said those words, I was not really excited because that, in my mind, really isn't the best project for a high performance leadership project. Lo and behold, this was not your ordinary speech contest. This young man had organized a speech contest, and it was an international speech contest, followed all of the same rules, all of the same eligibilities. It was an online contest, and it included the offices in Mumbai, Moscow, Beijing, New York City, and Chicago. Each one of those locations had one contestant, and they could pick who it was, but it had to be someone who would be eligible for the international speech contest. He selected the Toastmaster, he had the chief judge, all of the working people of a contest, and every location had two judges. You know who those judges were? One of them at every location was an eligible member of the club who could be a judge. The others at one location was the CEO. At another, the COO. At another, the CFO. And at the other two, a high-ranking vice president. And when he said that, I was amazed. And I looked at him and I said, Mark, what in the world possessed you to think of that? And he said, I wanted to show those executives that the next time they needed a leader for a global project, I was their guy. And the vice president in the room immediately said, and he did. Who wouldn't hear that story and think, I want that? Now, I share those stories with you, one, because they're great stories that prove what we offer people and how we transform lives through our club mission. But I also tell you those stories to remind you, you have your own stories. Every club has a wealth of stories like that. Are you sharing them at your meetings so that when your guests come in, just imagine if they were to hear stories like that, if they see that supportive and positive learning experience that you are providing and how it empowers you to change your lives. What guest wouldn't hear that and see that and think, wow, I want that. So members of District 100, it has been such a pleasure to be with you today. Again, we're in the throes of this chaotic season, so I encourage you to enjoy it. Enjoy the time with your family, with your friends, and then when you come back together at the beginning of the year, the beginning of the calendar year, and that halfway point through your Toastmasters year, I encourage you. I challenge you. Make sure that you are putting the club mission at the forefront of every meeting. Show those guests that you deliver a product that can change their lives so that every time they come, they will say, wow, I want that. Happy holidays. Umanga.
Thank you so much, Jana. Also, when I listened to your talk, I was thinking you started from the beginning. You want to refresh our mind. Actually, you did it. All those points you raised today and you discussed with us today are really thought provoking, and there is a real meaning behind these things. When we apply these things, that is true, we really can increase our membership in our clubs. Thanks again. These are really important things. Thanks for joining with us and did this speech. And thanks again. Happy holidays to you as well.